You're very welcome back to the YouTube channel here at Leitrim Daily. And today it's all about the Senior Football Championship as Mayo were the visitors to Park Sean McDermott in Carrick-on-Shannon. And unfortunately, it wasn't to be for Leitrim against a very, very strong Mayo side. Now I'm joined by their forward, Conor Dolan, who joins me now to talk about the game. Conor, you're very welcome to the programme.
Thanks very much, Breifne. Thank you.
What's your initial thoughts after the game today?
Yeah, obviously we're very disappointed losing to Mayo. We were under no illusions, I suppose, coming in that we were coming up against a really good side and a side that have been in a lot of All-Ireland finals in the past few years. They've played a lot of Division 1 football, I suppose, but at the same time there was good belief in the squad. Training had been going really well, and we thought that we might be able to get a result today. And for long periods of the game, we played quite well. But I think maybe just towards the last 15 minutes or so, and maybe just the clinical edge of the Mayo forwards with their goals and that, they pulled away. So obviously we were very disappointed leaving Park Sean today.
Just like the Tipperary game last week, it was all about the goals, really, one in each half. Very similar to today's performance, but it was a lightning quick start from Leitrim. Was that something that you had planned on kind of hitting them straight from the off with those 3 or 4 scores?
Yeah, so I suppose you always try to start as best you can, and we would have been looking at that, hitting the ground running early, especially with the breeze with us. We would have been hoping to get a few points advantage at half time. And we did get a great start, 4 points up with the breeze. And I suppose maybe there was a period then where we let Mayo back into the game. And, they built on that and I suppose went up 3 points ahead at half time and maybe didn't deserve it as much as we would have thought. We thought maybe that we could have been closer to them, if not ahead.
Yeah, a couple of chances. Debutant as well, Donald Casey, because this was your first championship game for Leitrim. It seems a bit of a shock when we were looking at the stats beforehand, but I would have assumed you'd played before, but because of other commitments. Tell us why it's taken so long for you to fill a championship jersey for Leitrim.
Yeah, well, I suppose I was doing a master's over the past 2 years, and I decided to put all my focus into that and opted away from the senior team. It wasn't easy to do that, but that's what I thought was best for me at the time. And then I suppose I played the club championship this year, and after we were beaten by Carrick, Terry gave me a ring the following week and asked me would I like to join the panel at this stage of the year. And after finishing the Masters and everything, I was delighted to do so. So yeah, league debut last Sunday and a championship debut today. So obviously not the results that I would have been looking for, 2 losses, but hopefully onwards and upwards.
In terms of that game last week, the Tipperary fixture in particular, I suppose the defeat, but not a bad day and not a bad start to an intercounty career. 4 points from play. You got to be happy with that.
Yeah, I suppose personally you'd be happy enough, but you don't play for your personal tallies or anything like that. Last week the objective was to win the game, to stay in Division 3, and unfortunately we didn't do that because I suppose our performance wasn't good enough the first 15 minutes. We let Tipperary dictate the game, and then we were good after that, but it wasn't enough to beat them. But as I said, hopefully I'll see plenty more league and championship football over the next few seasons.
I suppose that will come down to the manager and the manager's choices. But I presume, is that you saying that you're now available fully to play with Leitrim over the future years, or how does that work?
Yeah, well, I suppose if, as you said, depends on the manager. I'm not saying I'm going to be selected or anything like that. It goes on form, I suppose, and whoever's playing well will be called into the squad, and whoever's not will be left out. So I'll be trying to work as hard as I can to ensure that I get selected next year, and I suppose just taking it game by game.
Now, you did mention the defeat to St Mary's in the club championship. We might rewind a little bit there, because I know we got speaking to you immediately after the final whistle that day. You weren't in great form, understandably. What's the view back now as you look back on this year's championship campaign? Still disappointed, or what's the outlook on that?
Yeah, still disappointed. I think Mohill were deserved winners overall. I felt throughout the championship that they were the form team. They seemed to be slightly ahead of everyone else. I suppose the COVID had a huge effect on training for every team, so everyone was going in with the same amount of work done, really. We were disappointed. We've been in a fair few finals over the last few years, and after winning last year, our main aim was to try and win again this year, but we were bet by a Carrick team that deserved to win on that day. They worked much harder than us, and they were fully deserved of their victory. So we had to hold our hands up and get on with it.
While you haven't been involved with the county team, obviously some of the clubs you mentioned there, Muhull, St Mary's. I don't think you played Muhull in this year's championship, but you played St Mary's, you played Leitrim Gales. There was 3 or 4 lads on that team today as well. What's it like now with the guys you've played against in the club scene in recent years? You're now on the same team as them, pulling in the same direction. How much of a difficulty is it to get your head around that scenario?
I don't think it's too bad, really, Breifne. Leitrim is a small county, and generally everyone knows everybody. Obviously there's always battles on the pitch, but usually what happens on the pitch stays on the pitch, and you get on with normal life after the game is over. I have to say, since I've went into the county panel, everyone there has been very welcoming. They're a great bunch of lads, work very hard, and it was a very easy squad to come into.
I suppose you haven't got much to compare to in terms of previous championship campaigns at inter-county level, but what was the mood like in the dressing room after the game today?
It was very disappointing. I suppose after such a good start, we were 3 down at half time, but we still came back at them in the second half. I think about just before the last water break, we were down by 2 points. We felt that there was still an opportunity for us to win the game. So obviously then when you see that we lost by 11 points, it didn't really reflect, I don't think, how the game went. And obviously the football is over now for the year, so everyone was quite disappointed after the game.
I suppose for the benefit of our listeners, because for them now the season is over and done and dusted. We wait to see what happens next year. We don't quite know what's going to happen with restrictions and with COVID in terms of a national league or even the pre-season, the FBD competitions. But in terms of the life of an inter-county footballer, what happens for you now that football is finished? What do you spend your days and evenings doing and your weekends that you've no football commitments anymore?
Yeah, so obviously it's a big change. I suppose traveling I find is one of the biggest changes. Not having to go a long distance 2 or 3 times a week. But I suppose as a team and as a squad, if we're serious about trying to win Division 4 next year and get back into Division 3, everyone needs to keep fit, whether that's doing running for some people maybe, or gym work for others. So I suppose we'll rest, I'm sure, for a week or 2, but we'll try and get in on gym programs and keep the body fit and ready so that when the GAA do announce their plans, that we're ready to go.
Yeah, it's funny. We just did an interview with Aidan Rooney, of course, another decent forward from your own club who wore the green and gold, the Leitrim, for many, many years over the 90s and early noughties. In terms of, I suppose, his outlook as well, he talked about the strength and conditioning and the difference between the 2 teams. And he thought they weren't a million miles off, but they definitely weren't at the same level. Is that a bridge, or is that a gap that we can bridge as a county and as a panel of players over the next 8 to 12 months ahead of next year's championship?
Well, I think it is, because if you look at the age profile of our team, we're all relatively young footballers. So, we do maybe have a lot to improve on, but we do have time on our side to improve it. So I suppose we have loads of time now. We've no excuse. Life has probably never been as quiet for many people to try and, as you say, bridge that gap. And I suppose maybe where it's helping Mayo is coming up against Division 1 teams that are at a great physicality like themselves, whereas we mightn't have the same opportunity as that, but certainly we have lots to work on over the coming months to build on that.
On a personal note, how happy are you to make your debut today?
Yeah, sure. It's a good privilege for myself, but obviously I'm still disappointed after the result today. But looking forward to hopefully wearing the county jersey again.
Well, listen, Conor, hard luck today, but well done on a fine performance. Yourself and your teammates really acquitted yourselves well. I don't like talking about moral victories, but I think the fact that you lived with Mayo for as long as we did today, probably 45, 50 minutes of that game, there really were two teams in it, but just the experience and maybe that little bit extra strength showed in the end. A very good performance and hopefully some green shoots for the future. So great to see you in a Leitrim jersey. Well done.
Thanks very much, Breifne.